welcome to Splash Studio Online. My name is Jessie. I'm going to be your artist today. I'll be teaching you how to paint this here painting called Luna. I'll be showing you all of the steps, all the color mixing, all of that jazz, so you don't have to worry about that. Before we get started, we've got a couple of supplies I want to go over with here. You should have a brush roll with 4 different kinds of brushes here. You've got your large flat brush, you've got your small flat brush, got your medium round brush, and your tiny detail brush. We're going to be using all of these throughout our painting here. I'll be letting you know which one we're going to use. We've also got this handy dandy little rag that's great for drying off your brushes once you have washed them in this water cup. So you should also have this, great for, like I said, washing off your brushes. It's also a great place to just keep them whenever you're not using them so that they don't dry out and we can, you can use them for any other thing that you want to do. So that being said, guys, since this is a video, if at any time you do need to pause it, if you need your paint to dry, if you need to go do something, if you just need to take a break or whatever, absolutely feel free to just pause the video, and then when you're ready to get back into it, you can unpause it and we can get back started. But that being said, guys, we're going to start with our first step, and that's going to be the background. So you can see it goes from kind of a light bluish to a dark, like purpley, almost black. So to do that, I'm going to grab my largest flat brush, that's the big one, and I'm going to mix up kind of equal parts blue and yellow, maybe a little bit more blue, or not blue and yellow, sorry, blue and white, maybe a little bit more blue than white, but pretty equal there. So I've got my light blue right there. And I'm also going to add a little bit of water to my paint just to, prevent it from drying out so fast. We want to do the background pretty quickly so it all blends nicely together like a gradient. So I'm just going to bring this color across the bottom of my canvas here. Bring it up about, 2 inches or so. And then I'm just going to go right in and grab some regular blue off of my palette. And I'm going to put that on there. And then to blend those 2 colors together, I'm going to bring this color down as I am running my brush across the canvas. I'm going to bring it down, and then I'm going to bring it back up. And I'll do that a couple of times until I like the blend. Just basically kind of bringing the colors into each other so that they look like a nice gradual change. So there is your first blend there. And then I'm just going to dip into some more pure blue. And I'll bring this color up just a little bit more. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to add some red into my paint. So we're going to start really small with the red. I'll just grab a tiny bit of red and some blue, mix them together. So now I've just got kind of a darker blue there. And I will bring this onto my canvas. Do the same thing as I did before. Bring that color down with your brush strokes. And then bring it back up. I'll just add some more of this color on there. Add some more red to get it to be darker. And as I get farther and farther closer to the top of my canvas, it'll be almost equal parts blue and red. Alrighty, once you are almost to the very top of your painting, we're going to add one more color in there. And that's just going to be a little touch of black. So now my mixture is kind of equal parts blue and red, and just a little touch of black. A little black goes a long way, so you want to be careful how much you add. Then I'm just going to take this color and do the exact same thing as before, where I lay that on my canvas. I bring it down a little bit. And I go ahead and bring it back up. And there you have your background. Now don't worry if yours isn't quite the same darkness or gradient as the original. This one's a bit lighter because I kind of like that brightness to it. So you guys, if there's anything you want to change about this painting, feel free to absolutely do so. If you want different colors, different patterns, different whatever, feel free to do it. But at this point, we kind of want to let this all dry before we get started on our next step. So take about a 5-10 minute break just to let this all dry, and then so you can pause the video, and then whenever you guys are ready to get back into it, just unpause it and we can get started. Alrighty guys, once this is all dry, we're gonna go ahead and start with the stars here in the background. Now I'm gonna grab my small detail brush, but instead of using the bristle end for stars, what I like to use is actually the back end of the brush, the handle part. And so what I will do is I'll just dip that into some white paint and just dot this all over my canvas. You can see they make nice, perfect little dots. Good for stars or snow or whatever you want. And I'm just kind of trying to randomly place them. You can have some that are more clustered together. You can have some that are more spaced apart. I'm gonna probably have more up in the darker part of the sky than in the lighter part, just because, maybe the sun is setting. Stars are always more bright at night. So, and I also want to make sure I'm trying to do some bigger, some smaller. I also have a little shooting star in there, so you can add that as well. But I would probably use the brush side for that. And I'm just dotting these all over my canvas. And you can have as many or as few as you would like. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and add the shooting star in there. You can have it really wherever you want, and you can have more than one if you'd like, but I'm just going to follow this. It's kind of like just a little curved teardrop shape. So I'll decide where I want the larger part of it to be, about like right there. Make a little circle, and then I'll kind of draw the tail in there, and then it gets thicker towards the top, or the front of it I should say, and thinner, tapers off like that. You have your stars and your shooting star. So we're going to take another short little break, 5 minutes probably, just to let this all dry. So go ahead, pause the video, and then when you're ready to come back, just unpause it and we can get going. Alrighty guys, so our next step here, once this is all dry, is to create our crescent moon that sits right in the center of our painting here. And now to do that, I am going to start with our medium round brush. That's this guy. And we're just going to start with pure white to sketch it out. Now to get the moon kind of where you want it to be in the shape that you want it to be, I like to start with a series of just like points, kind of like the end here, and then the inside and outside of the middle. So I'll decide where I want the end points. And it's a little tilted on its axis. If you want it to be tilted, I would have the bottom point a little further out than the top point, but that's up to you. That one, I'll use that star as the point actually then. There. And then bottom point, have it be here. So those are my 2 points. And then I'll decide where I want the outside of the middle to be. Probably like right there. The inside I'll have just a little bit farther in right there. Alright, so once you've got your points all laid out, you want to just try to connect them with some really smooth curves. So I'll start here at the bottom. Kind of gradually bring these 2 shapes together. Go. And then I will do the same to the top. And you can kind of go around and just fix any parts of the outside that you don't like. I'm going to bring this down a little bit more. And they can do the same on the inside. It'll just be a smaller curve that meets at the 2 end points here. And if you feel that you put white down in a place that you don't want it, you can absolutely feel free to just get your background color, whichever shade that it's on, and just kind of go over it, and then you can let it dry, and then try again. And then once you start filling it in, you can really kind of see how that shape looks, and you can kind of start to tweak it to look the way you want once it is all filled in. Now if you really want to get those points to be nice and clean, what you can do is switch to your detail brush, get some white paint on there, and just really go in and fix up those ends. Yeah, I think I want to just carve a little bit out of the inside of there. So what I'm gonna do is mix up this shade of blue right there, and that's gonna be mostly blue with just a little bit of red. And I'll just kind of go over the part that I want to disappear. Just fixing it up just so I can get the kind of moon shape that I really want. Okay, so now that we've got our moon in there, we're gonna wait for that to dry, but we can go and work on our little cat here at the next point. I'm gonna hold this up so you guys can see because it is a little dark. We've got a cat in there. He's black and he's got some yellow outline. So we're going to start with the black, and I'm going to take my detail brush to do this. And the cat is just a couple of really simple shapes. So he's got, here, I'll hold this up again. He's got his body, which is kind of just like a a little round lump that comes out of the moon where he's sitting. And then he's got his head, which is mostly a circle with some kind of pointed cheeks. And then he's got those little ears, which are just going to be some soft triangles. And then his tail that curls up at the bottom. So I'll start with the body, kind of decide where I want him to sit, right kind of on the base of the moon here. So that's where I want him to sit, and then I'll just make that a round shape at the top. There, it kind of looks like a gravestone in a weird way. I've got that. I'm going to fill that in. Okay, so there's his body. And then we'll move on to his head, and I'll just start with a small little circle. Top there. And then his cheeks are kind of pointed, like he's got little furry cheeks. So I'll just kind of add some little soft points, kind of like a football shape. On either side. Connect it so it looks like it flows into his body with a neck. Yep. Next he's got some little pointed ears on top of his head. I'll just make some really soft triangles on either side of his head. There we go. And then the last part of the base of our cat is just his tail, which is just a thin line that comes behind the moon here and just curls up at the end. There you go. Now if you guys have, if you have a pet at home and you want to make them look like that, if you want to do a different kind of cat altogether, or if you want to do a different animal, absolutely feel free to go for it. We want you guys to love your paintings as much as you love your pets if you have them. So feel free to personalize this however way you want. But we are going to take another short little break just to let this all dry before we go in with those details in the moon and the outlining and our last couple of details. So take a break, let this dry, and then when you're ready to come back and finish it, you can just unpause the video. Alrighty guys, once this is all dry, we're going to go in and add some of these fun colors we have here in our moon. The first one I'm going to add is a light yellow. So I'm going to grab my medium round brush here, and then I'm going to mix together white and yellow about equal parts. And then I'm just going to kind of dab this along the interior of my moon here, just to kind of give it a little bit of a textured look, as well as add some fun colors in there. I don't want to color it like solid yellow just because I still want to see some of that white, but I am giving it a healthy layer of this color dabbed on. If you want to let this dry in between these colors, you can, but I was pretty light with my coat on there, so I'm just going to go to the next color. And that is going to be kind of a lighter mint green. So I'm going to take that yellow and white mixture that I just made, and then I'm just going to grab a tiny bit of blue. Getting the right color. Go. So there I've got my lighter kind of pale mint color, and I'm going to do the same thing. Maybe a little bit lighter than that actually. And then I will just dab that on over the top of the yellow, and I still want to be able to see the yellow and some of the white underneath, so I'm not covering all of it. Okay, we've got in that there. Alright, next I'm going to do kind of a light pinkish coral. So I'm going to take mostly white. We'll grab a little bit of red. And a little bit of yellow. So I've got my coral color there. And same thing here, I'm just going to dab this onto my canvas. And again, if you need a break to let this dry before going in with each color, feel free to do so. I'm not doing as much of this coral color because it is a very different color from our overall palette, so I'm just going to dab this on a little bit. Alright. And then once that is all done, we're going to go back in with white once more, just to kind of bring back some of that lightness and break up that texture a little bit. And if the white mixes with any colors underneath, that is fine. Kind of gives another layer of texture, which I am cool with. Here we go. So now that our moon is done, we can go back into our cat and add in those finishing details. And he's just got a light yellow outline and some little eyes. And you can see, I'll hold this up again, those eyes are kind of angled, like he's closing his eyes in a happy way. So I'm going to grab my tiny detail brush here. I'm going to mix some more light yellow, but I'm mixing white and yellow. I'm just going to coat my brush in this, and then I'm going to go around the outside edge of our cat's shape and just outline it with this color. Right? And then for his eyes, they're just two kind of inward slanting lines, a little curved, just like that. And there you have it. Oh, one last thing, sorry, is you can also add a little bit of this yellow inside that shooting star, just to give it a little pop color. But that is the end of our painting here, guys. I hope you had fun. The last unofficial step is to sign your painting. So I'm going to take my detail brush once more, and you can use white or black. I tend to like to use white because it shows up really nicely. And I'm just going to put my initials in the bottom corner there so that everyone knows this is my painting. So again, I hope you guys had fun. I certainly did. I love this painting. It's really one of my favorites. And yeah, so we would love to see what you guys have made in the safety of your own home. So if you want to post these to Facebook or Instagram, tag us, Splash Studio. We'd love to see what you guys have made. So that being said, I hope you guys, stay safe out there, stay healthy, and I hope to see you on the next one.